Let's start out with the new rules in Major League Baseball for the 2023 season. And let's go ahead and start out with the doozy, Susie. Baseball, the timeless sport that is timeless because it doesn't have a clock, now has a clock. It's not a pitch clock. I keep trying to say pitch clock, but I've noticed that they're referring to it as a pace clock more so than a pitch clock. And the rule is you have, with the base is empty, the pitcher has 15 seconds to make the pitch. With runners on, he has 20 seconds to make the pitch. And the batter has to be in the box in a ready to hit position addressing the pitcher. He doesn't necessarily have to be in full stance, but he has to be in a position where he can get ready to hit if the pitcher was to pitch at 8 seconds. And if the pitcher violates the pace clock, it's a ball. And if the batter doesn't get in the box and violates the pace clock, it's a strike if he doesn't get in there with 8 seconds left. And I've watched a handful of games now, and one, the pace is a lot faster. And two, the A's game didn't have not a single violation, and I watched the Reds and the Guardians afterwards, and I wanted to see Chad Pinder in the Reds uniform, and I saw one, and the announcer had said that was actually the third of the game, and the one that I saw was in the bottom of the fifth, I believe. So that game was not even into the seventh inning stretch, and they already had three after watching the A's game, and they didn't have any for either squad. So the pitcher is also allowed 2 disengagements per at bat. So in other words, say there is a runner on first. Pitcher throws over to first, pick off. Doesn't get him. Pitcher throws over a second time, doesn't get him. Pitcher, now you have 2 without a possible penalty. If the pitcher throws over to first in another pickoff move and doesn't make an out, then it's a balk. So throw over to first, doesn't get him. Throw over to first, doesn't get him. Throw over to first again. You better get him, because if you don't, he's walking over to second base. Batters also have 30 seconds in between at-bats. So first man in the lineup makes an out, does whatever. You have 30 seconds to get that next man up. Get him in the batter's box, and again he has then he has 8 seconds on the pace clock to be ready to hit. A batter also is given 1 timeout per at bat, and umpires are going to be wearing a device that looks like a wristwatch that is going to buzz when the pace clock expires. So that way the umpires can concentrate their focus on making can concentrate their focus on the game and calling balls and strikes, and not have to worry about what that clock says. It'll buzz, and then if it buzzes and things haven't happened, then he knows to make the call. The next new rule in Major League Baseball for the 2023 season that we're going to talk about are shift restrictions. So here's the way this one breaks down. A team has to have 2 infielders on each side of second base. So shortstop has to be on the shortstop side, second baseman has to remain on the second base side. And both infielders have to have both feet on the dirt at the time of the pitch. Umpires are also going to be able to implement the shift restriction rule if infielders are running out of position to basically circumvent the rule and get into a position where they're basically shifted as the pitch is being thrown. The way it was described was there's not going to be any motion defenses allowed. So you can't hurry up and make the shift late. They're not going to allow that either. You can't skirt your way around the rule that way either. Another quirk to the shift restriction rule is you're not allowed to switch infielders. So say a left-handed batter comes up and you want to shift for him, but because you can't shift, you also can't move your shortstop over to second base and your second baseman over to short without a substitution. You can't make that switch. So again, they're trying to get teams away from circumventing the rules and finding their way around the rules and still shifting, basically. So you can't run as the pitch is being thrown to basically shift, and you can't switch your infielders to get the better defensive player on the side that you want to shift to. What you can do is you can shift your outfielders. So let's say that you want to shift you have the left-handed batter again, and you normally would want to shift, but you're not allowed to shift. So you could, if you wanted, if you chose to, you could move your left fielder over to basically be kind of a rover if that's something that you decide to do. I think that they added this to the rule to allow managers, if they were just dead set on I have to shift in some way or else my what'll fall off. I have to be able to shift. You can shift your outfielder and basically make him a rover and push him over to right field and have him play in that kind of area where you would have normally shifted into, if that's what you want to do. Which when I first heard that little loophole, I thought, well, there's no way anybody's going to do that. But if you'll shift an infielder out of third base and basically make him your shortstop and jam up the whole right side of the infield and kind of push him into the outfield, why wouldn't you move your left fielder over and make him the rover in right field? I could see some managers maybe trying that. I don't know. And they'll probably ban that next. So that is something that they can do still currently with the new shift restrictions. And the last rule that is being changed, that is actual gameplay, they're also unbalancing the schedule. So it won't be a situation where the way it was described was Philly's not going to have to wait every 6 years to see Mike Trout in Philly. It was the way that I had heard it. So that's not really anything that sparks my interest level. So I wasn't really going to talk much about that. But the last big change, and I actually think this is going to be this one's a big one, and I think it's one that could be exploited by some teams that want to kind of moneyball it up and be ahead of this one. The bases are bigger. They've gone from a 15-inch bag to now an 18-inch bag. And what that means is from home to first and from third to home, the distance is decreased by 3 inches. And from first to second and second to third, it's decreased by 4.5 inches. And my immediate thought is not necessarily on stolen bases, although we'll get to that here in a second. My thought is on all the bang plays that you slow down in super slow motion, and you have to wait to see the ball when it's actually in the pocket of the mitten, and is the the stuff that they do with the replay now, instead of the tie goes to the runner, now all those bang bang plays that are so close and so tight that you got to super slow motion it down and it still just barely gets him or barely doesn't get him. Now that's 3 inches closer when you're running home to first. And when you're going first to second or second to third, it's 4.5 inches closer. Those bang bang plays that are just that close to being an out or that close to being safe. Now it's that much closer to being safe. So advantage offense, big time. And to the point on stolen bases, you have 2 disengagements as a pitcher to hold that runner on. And you have a running clock. So the batter knows, one, that you've only got 2 throws over without the risk of penalty. And 2, he knows generally about when you're going to throw it too. He knows you're not going to just stand there and wait him out and hold the runner by holding the ball and waiting to pitch. And the bases are closer. So how many times have you seen a throw from the catcher to second base trying to get a runner, and it's boom, boom. It's within an eyelash of safe or out or whatever. Well, now it's 4.5 inches closer. So again, advantage offense. The whole pace clock and now pitchers, I noticed in watching the games that I've watched so far, and it's only been a handful of them. The games that I've watched, most pitchers are throwing the ball with 5, 6, 7 seconds left. So the guys that were really working quickly, though, were ready to throw at that 8 seconds when that batter was in the box. And if the batter was in the box sooner than that, they were throwing it. You could tell the guys that would normally want to work quickly anyway, they're working even faster. And the guys that want to kind of slow things down, they're not able to. And it's, to me, I think that the bottleneck is more on the batters than pitchers, because that's what I've noticed more, is that with the batter, he has to be in that box ready to go with 8 seconds left on that clock. That seems to be a bigger pace pusher than the pitchers, because the pitchers aren't draining it down to 2-3 seconds left on the clock before they're throwing. They're throwing with 5, 6, 7 seconds left on that clock. So as soon as that batter's ready, they're ready too. I'm going to be posting once a week through spring training, and then I'm planning on posting for opening day. And then beyond that, I'll post at the end of the series and review the series that just happened, as well as preview the upcoming series. That's the way things are going to break down. So that's my schedule moving forward. Thank you guys so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Love you guys. Again, if you could please click that subscribe button. Don't forget to click that notification bell, because I am going to be posting kind of fluidly. It's not going to be a Monday, Wednesday, Friday I post kind of thing. It's going to be I post at the end of each series kind of thing. So it's going to be a bit fluid. So if you could please click that notification bell. Thanks, you guys. Much appreciated. Love you guys. Good night.